Casual Cinecast, powered by Cinelinx. My name is Chris, and with me as always is Mike. How are you doing yesterday? Or today, whichever one.
Oh, pretty good. You know, my troubles don't seem so far away now. It looks like they're here to stay.
Nice. Now I just wish we had someone named Jude on the podcast.
I know. But it looks like we'll have to settle for Peyton.
Yeah.
Hey, Peyton.
Hey, man.
Just doesn't have this. Doesn't have the same ring.
Too many. What was it? Syllables, I guess.
Syllables.
Yeah.
That's it. Nailed it. Now, you guys may have noticed that this week, again, there is no Justin. He is taking the month of June off, even though this is July 1st. We watched the movie in June, so it counts. And Peyton is here to fill in. Mm-hmm. So, again, thank you, sir.
Oh, no problem. It's great to be here. I look forward to this every week.
Yeah, it's been a blast having you here during the month of June, and I think we're actually going to have Peyton on next week for Midsummer and the return of Justin, so.
Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be great to talk about that movie with you guys.
Yeah, I'm excited
for
about it, for
sure.
sure. And also Spider-Man. I guess we have to talk about that, too.
Yeah.
Wait, there's another Spider-Man coming out?
I know. Tonight, actually, at midnight.
It's so weird. It just, like, snuck up.
Yeah, I agree. Normally, we like to start off every episode in a section called News on the March, where we talk about all the current events and going on in pop culture, as well as whatever we've been watching the last week. And then for our feature review, we will be reviewing Danny Boyle's newest film, Yesterday. And because of the subject matter, I had a special question I wanted to ask all of you guys today. What's your favorite Beatles song? I know. There's a lot.
Yeah.
Or do you even like the Beatles?
No, I love the Beatles.
We'll start with...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, then let's start with you, Peyton. What's your favorite Beatles song, sir? Or can you pick just one?
Probably it's probably going to be their version of Twist and Shout.
Yeah.
Just because that was the first Beatles song I heard, and I heard it on Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
And
his voice sounds so good in that song.
Right, yeah. And so
raw.
Yeah, and you know, it was I was like, this is an amazing song, and so I tracked it down, and that's how I got my first Beatles album, and that kind of started it off. So a lot of other favorites, like Eleanor Rigby is great, and Penny Lane is amazing, but that's like my gateway drug was that song. So I'll say that's my favorite.
Cool. Yeah, makes sense. I totally get that.
Yeah.
All right, Peyton, or excuse me, Chris, what was yours?
Yeah, it's funny that you say that you were introduced through Ferris Bueller Day Off, because I was introduced, not introduced, but Wes Anderson, Hey Jude. It's the part where the eagle or falcon flies away and they're playing Hey
Which
Jude.
movie, Chris?
Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really love that moment. So that music is always forever tied to that movie to me, and when I hear the music I think of the movie, and it's all tied together, and I love that song and that moment in the movie.
Yeah, totally makes sense. You guys are both like heavily movie based on your picks. I would say probably the first song that I loved when I was a kid was probably Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my actual favorite song is probably Here Comes the Sun.
Oh yeah, that's a good.
That's a really good song.
It's a great song.
Yeah, it's just like a timeless, awesome, happy song that puts me in a good mood. But like you guys, I have like a million others that I really, really like. Like, I mean, Hey Jude is great. Mm-hmm. We could go on all day, really, about the Beatles. So, anyway, I hope that was interesting for everyone. And, moving on.
Yeah, don't forget that each month we review a film from the Criterion Collection, which is great, and the Barnes & Noble's half-off sales going on right now. So if you want to get some DVDs, go pick it up from Barnes & Noble's.
Yeah, you can buy a Criterion now that it's on sale for the price of a regular movie.
Yeah, regular DVD, that's right. Last month we did Stalker, and next month we're going to do Weekend, or actually it's this month now, but make sure that you pay attention to our feed and check out Jean-Luc Godard's Weekend. It's our first Jean-Luc Godard film, so check it out.
The French New Wave.
Yeah, and the super cool thing about this is that you guys, as listeners, get to vote on it. So make sure when Weekend comes out, you pay attention to Twitter and Facebook and vote on what you want us to review next.
Yeah, we will have options for you to vote on once that episode drops.
That's always my favorite part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, and as always, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the podcast. You can do so on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at casualcinemedia. You can email us at casualcinemedia@gmail.com. And as always, do not forget to leave us a iTunes review, preferably of the 5-star variety, and hit subscribe. Subscribe your friend, subscribe your mom, subscribe your dad, whoever, If they have an iPhone, pick it up, subscribe. If they don't have an iPhone, if they have an Android phone, do the same thing, They'll thank you.
Open multiple accounts and subscribe.
Yeah, there you go. Get those downloads for us. All right. I think we've covered that. Are we ready to move into News on the March?
News on the March.
Okay, so in a minute, we have some news about a new movie subscription plan hitting the scene soon. But first, I wanted to talk about a show that I watched on Netflix called Dead to Me.
Oh, right.
Right.
Yeah. And this is the show starring Christina Applegate and Linda Cardellini. I watched the first episode. And have either of you seen this show or watched it?
Yeah, I've seen, I think, I don't know, like 5 or 6 episodes, I believe.
Okay, so yeah, you're way ahead of me then.
Yeah, I've just seen the first episode, so yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
I didn't even realize you'd seen it. Cool. That's awesome. So I think the show is pretty interesting so far, based on episode 1. But I will say that it seems like the tone is a little odd.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not quite able to place it so far. Like it's almost like a dramedy, but not really with any funny parts.
Ooh.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's staged like a comedy, but yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really strange, but I'm intrigued. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I have no idea where it could go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm interested. What did you guys think about the first episode? And Chris, what did you think about whatever you've seen so far?
It'll be interesting to hear what you guys have to say further about the first episode. The first episode, it's interesting that you say that the tone thing. So I watched the first episode, and what I got from it, and then what I got from the second episode, I got something completely different than what I thought I was going to get, if that makes
interesting.
sense. Like, in the first episode, it's a lot about grief, and I thought it was going to be more about these two people consoling each other and dealing with grief, and maybe there's some, like, dark humor in there and stuff like that. There's something that happens at the end of, I believe it's the end of episode 1.
Yeah. There's a big revelation at the end of episode 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that changes what I thought I was watching.
Yeah, totally. And
And-
that's why I'm like, at the end of episode 1, I'm like, I honestly have no idea what I'm in for with this show.
Yeah, and I think it's more of the same because it's got those two parts, the grief and then kind of these darker, twistier moments that happen as well. James Marsden shows up. Does he show up in the first one? I can't remember.
Yeah, he's in the first episode, but he
Okay,
has a pretty
yeah.
small part.
He's pretty good. He's in it more often, and it's an interesting show. Obviously, it didn't. I got distracted and started watching something else. I want to finish it because I've heard that it's good. But Peyton, what did you think of the first one?
The thing that I was most surprised with was probably Linda Cardellini. Because she's mostly known as just like comedy stuff, and she was funny in this, but she was so vulnerable in it. And to me, I thought that was the best part of what was going on. I also really liked, it's mostly like little tonal things, but Mike and I, you and I used to talk about this, movies that had really well placed scores or movies that didn't have a score at all. I remember, like particularly in the first episode when we have that like moment of revelation, there's almost no score. As far as I know, there's like score only comes in. Like there's this great zoom in on and this
On a thing.
on a thing, and a score comes up and it's like whoa. So same here. I mean, I was intrigued enough to want to keep going, and it was one of those things like I didn't, because I was like, I'm going to get sucked in on this, I think. So I just didn't continue it. But I was same here. I mean, I was intrigued enough to want to keep going. So I think it's pretty good.
So you spoke about Linda Cardellini. If you haven't seen her in Bloodlines, she is really good. It's a great show.
Oh no, I
I think
haven't.
it's just Bloodline.
Is it just Bloodline?
Yeah, a singular Bloodline.
Okay. Bloodline. It's a really good show, and she's very serious in that, and is very good in that.
Yeah.
Specifically. Have you seen it, Mike?
Totally. I've seen most of the first season.
Oh, okay.
I stopped right at a very key moment that the first season builds to. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to pick it back up again because I love Ben Mendelsohn. I like Kyle Chandler. I like Linda Cardellini. I like Sissy Spacek. The cast is all there. But I heard Bloodline like goes 3 strong seasons, and then like the last 2 episodes crap the bed.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know it's been on that long. Jeez.
Well, Netflix cancels everything after 3 seasons.
Right. Yeah.
That's when it starts getting more expensive for them to like run it.
Yeah.
So like even shows that need more time, apparently like what I heard Bloodline did,
Yeah.
didn't get more time. So it's really hard for me to want to start a show knowing that like the end might be rushed, but I would be interested to see what Chris says about that.
I haven't seen the whole thing. I watched the whole first season, and I felt like that was the first season was so good. And it's also kind of emotionally draining. That I didn't necessarily. I stopped
when I did. I was like, I don't have this in me anymore right now.
Yeah. So I didn't necessarily want to, or haven't gotten back around to bracing myself for a second season. And also, like you said, it's so good as a standalone that I almost feel like. And I've heard that the second season's good. I haven't really heard much about the third season.
I've heard it's all good until the last 2 episodes.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, I love those actors. Kyle Chandler is... We're way off topic, but he is one of the most underrated actors, I think. Or he's a good character actor, I think is what I would say.
Yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm. Agreed,
he pops up in everything, and he's always likable, but he never like walks away stealing the show.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like in Bloodline, he's great, but Ben Mendelsohn steals the show.
Yeah.
At least for the first season. It's funny that you spotlighted Linda Cardellini. Well, I guess it's not that funny. There's only 2 leads in the Dead to Me show.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, Linda Cardellini seems to be everywhere now.
Yeah, she vanished and then she came back. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, she was around in the early 2000s, and then she was off my radar for a few years there. And I feel like ever since she hit the scene with Mad Men a few years back, like Mad Men season 5, I believe.
Yeah.
I feel like she's just been everywhere, and she's been working like crazy.
Yeah, it's like she's like Natasha Lyonne. She's just kind of just like, oh, hey, she's everywhere now. So.
Yeah, she was gone forever, and then now she's everywhere. Which I'm not complaining, because Linda Cardellini is lovely.
She is great.
I think she's very fun to watch. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, Dead to Me, I will keep watching it. I'm interested to see where it goes, but also, like Bloodline, I'm like, ooh, this might be emotionally taxing for me.
Right.
Before we leave, I just also, we talked about Linda Cardellini, but Christina Applegate does a really great job here. Both those lead actresses turn in really great performances.
Well, they're playing to their strengths. Linda Cardellini's got that like bashful smile, and then Christina Applegate's got that like assertive bully,
high-strung,
right.
Yeah, like stressed out woman thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like she does that really well.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Like, she stresses me out when watching her.
I was gonna say I'll end with one thing. If any of the listeners are fans of the Facts of Life, there's a nice little Easter egg in there about that. So if you guys remember that. So
I don't.
Oh.
I don't even know what you're talking about right now.
Oh, okay.
Never seen the Facts of Life.
Oh well, it's just it's a funny little in joke. Okay.
Okay, someone will get it. All right, moving on.
Yeah.
So, guys, did you know Regal Cinemas has recently thrown their hat into the unlimited subscription plan ring?
Yeah, you posted that earlier, and it got me intrigued because the closest theater to me that's not like a half hour away or 15 minutes, about a half hour away, is a Regal Cinema. So
Ooh.
I don't know much about the plan. I'm hoping we'll find out more, but it does have my interest piqued.
Well, allow me to enlighten you a little bit, Christopher.
Thank
you. So
you.
the plan is set to launch later this month, which is July. And I have a little bit of information here. This is from the article. So there are going to be 3 tiers of pricing, which will work out to either $18 a month, $21 a month, or $24 a month. Each of them grants access to unlimited tickets. But like unlike the AMC A-list thing, where you can go to any chain and see, or any location and watch any movie, this one actually has some of the lowest tiers, but really will only get access to about half of the chain locations in like the national footprint.
Whoa. Okay.
So if someone purchased a subscription plan on a low tier and then ventures to an out-of-network Regal Cinemas in a higher tier, like a major city, then there might be a surcharge of about $2 to $3 on a otherwise free ticket.
Huh.
There's also a 10% cash reduction on concessions for each tier, which are immediate rather than receiving like a voucher for the next visit.
Right, and you're saying it's 10% across the board. It doesn't increase 10% for each tier.
Right, it looks like 10% across the board. I don't see anything about specific tiers for the concession discount.
Okay, yeah.
But there's also, it says that the unlimited subscribers might have to purchase the entire year in advance for the unlimited ticket program.
Ouch.
So that would come out to be, for the lowest, $216 a month, or for a year. The second one would be $252, and the other one would be $288. To me, this does not sound as good as like AMC's A-list plan.
No, nowhere near
Like,
as
not
good.
anywhere close to it.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Chris? Is this something you would hop on? You might have to join the higher tier since you're in like Houston.
Well, I'm in a suburb of Houston. I'm about an hour away from Houston, so I would probably... There's only one Regal close to me, so I would imagine that I could sign up for the lower tier. Like, the only time I would need to pay extra is like if I went and watched a movie with Justin, who lives in, Houston proper, like at one of his Regals.
Yeah.
I'm on board. I would cancel my AMC pass because it's so much further. Neither AMC nor the Regal theaters that I go to show anything like I saw Arctic and Apollo 11 at this other theater that's close by, the Cinemark. So
How was Arctic?
Oh, it's really good. Really
cool.
good.
Yeah. Neat.
So I have the Cinemark pass, which is like it's like $8.99 a month. You get one free movie. Unfortunately, the last couple of months, it's just been Avengers, so like they haven't been showing any of their like smaller movies that I normally go see.
Yeah, this is the wrong time of year for those kinds of movies anyway.
That's true. But I would definitely cancel AMC and do Regal, even if I had to pay extra. As long as I got this one theater, just needs to be consistently free, right? And not pay more.
Yeah, but my concern is this seems overly complicated
Yeah.
right out the gate.
That's my thought too, yeah.
Like, I feel like once Movie Pass started getting complicated like this, that's whenever, like, it was over.
Yeah, people jump the ship really quick, yeah.
Exactly. Like, keep it simple, right? Like, a round figure, like, any theater you want. Don't be like, okay, you get the lower tier, so you get, like, all the crappy theaters, like, that aren't, like, the flagship ones, you know? Like, that sounds like a huge pain in the butt. But also, if the lower subscription works for Peyton, or excuse me, for Chris being, like, right next door to it, then, yeah, totally. Abandon ship on AMC. But I'm looking at this, and even the lowest Cinemark plan is about $3 to $2 more a month than what I'm paying for AMC.
Right.
You meant Regal, correct? Not Cinemark.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, yeah, this new Regal plan is more expensive than the AMC, even at the lowest tier.
I had Movie Pass back when it was like $29.99 a month. So $30 isn't
A deal
unheard
breaker.
of. Yeah, or a deal breaker. I mean, I just have to go see 4 movies a month, right? Like, and which I do. We see at least 4 movies a month in the theater.
Yeah. I wonder if this will include like, big event movies, or I don't know if Regal has any kind
Regal,
of IMAX things or.
Mine doesn't have an IMAX, but they do have like 4 showings a week. I think it's Flashback Cinema is what they call it, and they've done like Raiders of the Lost Ark and Princess Bride's coming up. So I don't know if that's included in it or not, but that would be cool if it was.
Yeah.
I would be more likely to go see that.
Yeah, we have a studio movie grill around here that plays movies like that, like some with cult classics or modern classics.
Yeah,
and I know they are about to launch their own subscription service soon as well. And when that happens, I might abandon AMC to go to Studio Movie Grill.
Oh, I would too. Yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't decided yet. We'll just have to see how their plan works out and everything. Because every now and then AMC will get like one movie that like no one else in town has, and I'm like, damn it, they brought me back in somehow,
Yeah, I guess I don't really mind paying an extra $10 if it's outside of my plan. Like
I do if I was planning on using. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's hard. If it's a movie that I'm really excited about, then I'll gladly pay. But if it's like a movie we're watching for the podcast and it's like another
Pokemon,
another Detective Pikachu type situation, then I would much rather not have to pay for that individual ticket. I'd rather just see it wherever I can see it for the price I've already paid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else about Regal Cinema's unlimited plan that you guys wanted to talk about now?
No, nothing I can think of. You hit the big one.
I'm excited to see. Oh, let's talk about. This is a question I have. Are these subscription passes good for the movie industry as a whole, or is it devaluing the tickets.
Well, I don't know if it's devaluing the tickets. The theater chains are still paying for those tickets. So the studio's still getting the same amount of money as of now. But I see what you mean, but also I think that's what they need to do.
Yeah.
Because theaters are kind of a pain to get in and out of, right? And the only thing these days that makes it kind of worth going, like my girlfriend and I can just buy it on the AMC app, and one of the tickets is free, and I can pay for her ticket if I want to, or she can pay for her ticket and pay me back, or whatever she wants to do. But without like 3 free movies a week, you know, there's certain movies that I just would not care to give my money to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. So, you know, the studios are still getting their money. So as long as you're getting more people in the theater, and there's also, you get 3, like AMC, you get 3 movies a week, right? Which actually, is, how many do you get with Regal? Is it unlimited?
It says unlimited, just like AMC's is, I think is technically unlimited, but 3 a week.
Yeah, but
so I guess it's still a limit.
There's only so many times you can go see Avengers before you decide that you want to go see another movie. And hopefully at that point, you know, there's a movie like Booksmart or Late Night, which weren't super great movies, but deserved attention.
Yeah,
that you can go to. Hopefully the subscription plans encourage going to see smaller movies.
Yeah, I mean, I you know, just chime in on that. I think that that's the way it needs to go, just because so much of what we do is subscription based now, whether it be you know, Apple Music or Netflix or something. So people are used to, I'm just gonna, you know, just deduct my money and I'll go see a movie. So it's a step in the right direction for their audiences. They need to do that, and so I think that's a good thing. And the other one is I'm not on the AMC list, and I'm like one of the only people I know that's not, and there's everybody I know that's on it. They're like, I'm gonna go see a movie on Friday, because if I don't, then I'm just losing that ticket. So it does keep people going to the theater consistently. So you know,
totally.
I think it's a good thing overall.
And I'll say, honestly, the AMC plan has actually made me buy concessions more. Like,
that was the next thing I was going to say,
this
too.
Plan,
yeah.
I never bought concessions.
Right.
Yeah.
But now I do pretty regularly, and they give you the price of the large ones for the price of the small.
Yeah.
Which is still overly priced, but I feel good buying it now.
Right.
I don't know, it's weird. It's like a mental thing where it's like I'm not dropping $30 to go to the movies, you know, just for myself in one night.
You know, and that's going to keep those movie theaters around, because that's what they survive on, and it's going to cause more to be built. So I think, you know, that's what we're always talking about. Is, you know, the experience of seeing a movie in the theater is so great. So this will keep it going. So I think it's a solid thing. I think Regal's is a little funky, and maybe they'll redo it. But yeah, no, I think that's where the industry's going. So, or they at least see it. So
the most widely acclaimed one of these that has actually worked so far seems to be the AMC one.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It seems like they're the ones that like figured out how much it needs to cost a month for this to work out. It feels like something MoviePass wasn't able to do, and it feels like, just based on all these different tiers and the surcharges, it feels like the dying days of MoviePass for the Regal one before it even fires up. So I don't know. I'm interested to see if people will accept it. I know, sounds like, Chris, you're already sold on it.
I mean, I'm definitely going to look into it further, but yeah, if I can cancel the AMC pass and just go, 5 minutes away from my house, I certainly will.
Yeah. Heard that. Cool. So we will be watching with great interest. Anything else about this, guys?
No, it's good.
Nope.
It is time to move into our review of Yesterday, directed by Danny Boyle.
This was my last gig. If it has happened by now, it's like a miracle.
Miracles happen.
What happened?
Electricity flicked off all over the world.
Yesterday,
Ellie bought you a present.
all my troubles seem so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday.
When did you write that?
I didn't write it. Paul McCartney wrote it. The Beatles.
Who?
John, Paul, George and Ringo, the Beatles.
No. Stop it. Yesterday. It's one of the greatest songs ever written.
Well, it's not Coldplay. It's not Fix You.
Do you genuinely not know who the Beatles are?
Genuinely.
Then I'm in a really, really, really complicated situation.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me.
Sorry, I'm just listening to Jack's new song.
What's this one called?
Leave It Be.
Let it be.
Well, rock on, Jack.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you something.
Hi, we should talk. See, we pay and you write songs, and then you make a ton of money. And then we take most of it.
The one, the only Jack Mallet. We would like you to write something right now.
Something in the way she moves.
No one's ever written this many great songs. How do you do it?
Attracts me like no other lover.
Sometimes it feels like someone else has written all the songs.
Hey Jude.
I've been waiting half my life for you to wake up and love me. But I'm a school teacher, and you are the world's greatest singer-songwriter.
I'm not.
Except for you are.
It's going to be the greatest album of all time.
I've got two men who claim that the songs are theirs. Let's see how this plays out, shall we?
There's something you should know.
Please make some noise for Mr. Jack Mallet.
Let me just give you this advice. Song title. Hey Dude.
Hey, dude, are you sure?
Hey, dude.
It's so much better.
All right, so as with all of our reviews, we will start off with a spoiler-free section, and then you will see a spoiler bumper. It's also going to be time-stamped in the show notes, so feel free to just skip the spoiler section if you haven't seen the movie, or if you don't care about spoilers, or if you have seen the movie, just go ahead and listen on through, and we'll see you on the other side. So Yesterday was directed by Danny Boyle. It stars Himesh Patel, Lily James, and Kate McKinnon. The IMDb synopsis says, a struggling musician realizes he's the only one on Earth who can remember the Beatles after waking up in an alternate timeline where they never existed. First of all, I want to say I never realized we were in an alternate timeline in this movie.
Yeah, I was actually going to talk about that later. They never really explained that.
Never
Yeah.
explained
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I guess it makes sense.
It's funny because I saw this really late at night. It was like a 10:30 screening, and I was kind of sleepy. I'm like, did I miss something reading that synopsis? Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah, I also saw it at 10:30 last night. So, who wants to get us started? I vote Chris.
I vote Chris, too.
I'm glad to have you guys vote.
Yeah.
Look for me in the next Democratic presidential debate.
Oh, God, I would vote for you in a heartbeat.
Right. Well, so my expectations for this movie were pretty high. I guess I should say like medium to high. I liked what I saw of the trailer. I think the concept is interesting. Although when I saw it, I wasn't quite sure exactly how it was going to land. You know, like if they could do it right, because I think that concept sets the bar awfully high, like technically speaking, in order to pull it off, and pull it off in a satisfying way. Mm-hmm. We all like the Beatles songs, so that there's not much that could have been done wrong with that. So those were my expectations essentially, and I believe I was let down. No, I don't believe it. I was let down, and I didn't like this movie very much. Yeah. I mean, the songs are great. I think they actually came across something that I think is pretty ingenious. So if you're going to make a movie about a band, like That Thing You Do, what you do is you just plug in all the Beatles songs so you don't have to write any new music, which is kind of what happens here a little bit.
But it worked out in That Thing You Do, because That Thing You Do is a catchy song.
I think the two leads, Lily James, who I think is really great, in general, who she was in Baby Driver, and she was in that Potato Peel Society movie that my sister made me watch that I really enjoyed last year.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, you saw it?
Yeah, I loved it.
Oh, I love that movie. Yeah, and she's really great in there.
What's it called again?
It's like
I have no.
It's the Guernsey and the Potato Peel Pie Society, something like that. It's a really terrible title, but it's an amazing movie. It's on Netflix, so it's one of those little hidden gems that slipped in there.
Anyway, so I think she's really good normally. I don't think they give her a lot to do, and I never really buy into stuff that's going on in here. And anyways, I'm going to pass it off, and we can talk more in depth as we move on. But
sure.
Peyton, what did you think?
Well, like you, I had very high expectations of this movie. I loved the trailer. I loved the premise. And what I was really excited about going to the movies to see was something, we've talked about and I talk about with a lot of my friends, which is movies that aren't a sequel, a prequel, or IP, and something that's a high concept idea, a high concept, and in this case, a high concept comedy really appealed to me. So I was like all completely on board. So I think my expectations were probably higher than yours. And I also felt a little like it fell a little flat. I totally agree. There were some weird, like sitcom-y dialogue in the movie, which was strange because I didn't know that Richard Curtis wrote the screenplay until I saw his name pop up. And so he's such a smart writer. It was odd that it was those types of things. There were like some plot holes, which we'll get into when we talk about spoilers and things. A really interesting thing that happened at the end of the movie. But, I couldn't get past the fact that the music was so good in the movie, so that kept me engaged. And I thought that Kate McKinnon stole some scenes when she was there. Ed Sheeran made me laugh. So I was just kind of like, it's okay. It fell flat of my expectations, especially with a concept as huge as this was. It's almost like it couldn't live up to its own expectations. But so same. I was a little let down, but at one point I just kind of just turned off my brain and was like, okay, I'm just going to sort of enjoy this for like just a jukeboxy kind of movie. But yeah, that's about what I felt from it. It didn't feel like a Danny Boyle movie, I'll tell you that.
I think visually it did.
Yeah, it did. But tonally, or just this, his visual fingerprints were there, but it didn't feel like a story that he would do. I guess I don't know. It was odd to me. It felt like a journeyman director or something.
It felt like there was a couple, and I agree with you, kind of the journeyman thing. But there's a couple of visual choices that he makes, like especially towards the beginning of the film, that felt really odd to me.
Yeah, I agree. There's some Dutch angles that show up really suddenly.
That's
like,
what I'm talking about. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It felt like film schoolish stuff. Yeah.
And then every time somebody shows up to the house, but they have that
their face is distorted.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Yeah,
felt like something from 28 Days Later or something.
Yeah, so like you guys, this is a movie that I was looking forward to. I like Danny Boyle. I like the Beatles, so that's all I really needed to know. Danny Boyle is one of those filmmakers who can fluctuate between good, okay, and great, in my opinion.
Yes.
I think very rarely have I ever seen a terrible Danny Boyle movie, if ever.
I agree with that.
I'm struggling now, and I cannot think of a straight-up terrible Danny Boyle movie that I've seen.
Even The Beach had some good moments, so yeah.
Yeah, I don't dislike The Beach.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not great, but, again, fluctuates from great to okay.
Yes.
So I went into this movie, like you guys, with pretty high hopes. The trailer had hooked me. Mm-hmm. It seemed like an interesting setup to a movie and could have a unique vibe to it. Ultimately, though, I think this movie's greatest crime is it turns out to be pretty standard, in my opinion.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Which is not that it's bad. Yeah. I think I probably liked it more than you guys. I think it's an enjoyable movie. I even laughed a couple times, and I was never bored. But other than the initial plot pitch, there's not really anything at all about this movie that just isn't plain old standard.
Yes, I mean, it zips along. I mean, what do you want to say that? I mean, I don't remember how long it was, hour and 45 minutes or something like that. It zips along. The movie's fast, and I was entertained throughout. But yeah, same way. It felt like just a standard movie. It didn't really transcend the way I was expecting it was. So
right, exactly. And there's a love story that's central to the film that I think is the causation of that in my eyes.
Yes.
It didn't really work that well for me.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed pretty telegraphed what was going to happen.
Yes.
And so it wasn't really super compelling. The love interest is played by Lily James, who we talked about earlier, who just seems to have these wholesome girl next door roles on lockdown lately.
Yeah.
between this and Baby Driver and what I imagine the Potato Peel Pie Club Society movie is about, I imagine she's pretty wholesome in that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, other than her charm kind of carrying those scenes, there really isn't much there we haven't seen a million times over. You know,
mm-hmm.
A guy realizes, you know, he lost the one that matters kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty standard. Overall, the music is great performances. As always with Danny Boyle, the movie looked visually interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Your mileage may vary on whether or not his visual style works completely in this movie, but I think his visual style makes it way more interesting than it would have been had like a traditional, less visionary director made the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall, I think the movie looks visually interesting, but this is just mid-tier Danny Boyle in my eyes.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's Slumdog Millionaire-ish.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. I feel a lot like I know everyone loved Slumdog Millionaire and it won an Oscar.
Yeah.
But that movie is pretty standard.
It really
in my
is.
opinion.
You go back and watch it, it does not hold up. So yeah.
No. I think the lead is charming. I liked him quite a bit. Talented guy.
Yeah, that was another thing I was excited to see. Just like a high concept comedy without like George Clooney or somebody in it. That was an appeal.
Or
So
Matt Damon.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it reminds me, like this movie kind of reminds me of Downsizing, which is like a high concept that sounds interesting, but then when it hits, everyone hates it.
Yep.
I don't think everyone's gonna hate this movie, but
No.
I think everyone's gonna feel a lot like we are, and it looks like based on the reviews and the IMDb score, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, the lead I'm talking about is Himesh Patel. That guy.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see what he does next. I think he stole the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's great. I don't think I don't think there's ever a moment in the movie where I was like, didn't believe it, don't buy it.
Yep.
You know, and this is my first time seeing this guy, at least that I'm aware of him being this guy. And I think he's really, really, really interesting. So I'm definitely excited to see what he does next.
Right.
I believe he's an actual musician.
That makes sense. I would not be surprised at that at all. In fact, I would say that's probably necessary for a part like this.
Right.
So I have a question for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
What did you think of Kate McKinnon's character? I found it to be kind of another one of those things that's just standard. Like between the relationship and the relationship with the manager, like the recording, like becoming famous, like those two aspects felt so by the numbers.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned that. I guess it does, but I mean, I've always thought she's a really great performer. So I thought whenever she popped up, I mean, you know, she made me laugh, and I thought she was interesting, and I thought the scenes that she was in, she kind of dominated. Yeah, I mean, but as far as her character goes, yeah, you're right. She was. I knew when she walked in and started talking, I'm like, oh, you're that person. So yeah, I'm with you.
Well, it's like there's a scene where they're sitting on a couch,
Mm-hmm.
and Kate McKinnon's character is like very clearly like the devil on his shoulder. You know, like even the dialogue paints it so blatantly what it's supposed to be. It's like, I'm here to offer you the chalice of rich and like being rich and famous. Do you want to drink from that chalice? I need you to say fuck yeah or whatever. And it's like, okay,
I think that's the dialogue verbatim.
Yeah, and it's just like, this is a little painful and cringy. I don't know, not without heart, I guess.
Yeah.
This movie, there's like 3 separate things that's going on in this film. You know, there's the love story, then there's the rise to fame, and then there's the concept. Mm-hmm. And I just think that it fails on all 3 of those levels. It is great music, but that's because it's the Beatles.
Right.
You know, I don't think that the music is necessarily tied into the movie in any way. Like, other than it being the Beatles doesn't make the movie any better necessarily. At least that's kind of how I feel. Like, I don't think they necessarily explore the concept as far as I'd like to, or maybe
Agreed.
because I'm not interested in the other 2 aspects of it, I start picking the concept apart.
Yeah.
I think you have something there, because I think when I found myself disappointed in the movie, it was about 30 minutes in, and I realized we were going to get a lot more of Lily James's character
yeah.
than I was interested in.
Yeah,
not through any fault of hers, just because
exactly.
she's not the one trying to, you know, sell the world that she's writing Beatles songs. So automatically, I want her off the screen, and I want to move on to the thing I care about.
At the beginning, I don't understand why she wants to be with that guy. You know that she's in love with him.
At the end, I don't understand either.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that in spoilers. But at the beginning, you know, he's just kind of grumpy, and
he's like a dude that's not handsome and doesn't seem interested in her.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, especially not interested in her. He he doesn't realize what he has, obviously, and everybody knows what's gonna happen, right? But I never see why Lily James is interested, except for that she watched him do Wonderwall, like in 10th grade talent show.
Yeah, it feels like she's only met like 3 dudes in her whole life.
Yeah, that's a very small town they live in.
Now, that was my biggest complaint. It felt like a shoehorned romance. It reminded me of, if you guys remember Ant-Man, and when Paul Rudd all of a sudden is just making out with Evangeline Lilly, and it's like, wait. When y'all like each other? Y'all hated each other, and there's complete understanding as to why you did, and we didn't see the progression of a believable relationship blossoming. So I'm with you on that. And it did, going back to the music thing. The music was what kept me interested and kept me going. But it did cross my mind after I got out of the theater. I'm like, if you had just like taken all those Beatles songs out of it and just put in a new score, would I've liked this movie less or more? And absolutely, I think I would have been way more harsh and way more critical of it had it been just songs as opposed to the Beatles. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I will say where the movie I think is its strongest, and this is kind of what Chris alluded to earlier, is the process of figuring out that no one remembers the Beatles.
Yes.
The idea of wanting to pass the songs off as yours.
Yes.
And then his subsequent guilt for doing so.
Yeah. That's the
all
best
of that,
stuff. Yes, that's great.
Yeah, all of that's the best stuff, and it's interesting stuff.
Yes. And there should have been, like Lily James at that point was just sort of a side character that was just there for whatever reason. So yeah, I'm with you. Like that, if that had been the main focus, it would have been a much better movie, and just delved into that. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like she should have had no bigger a role than like his roadie buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that would have been interesting too if they could have just been friends the whole time. Like they don't have to have necessarily a love interest. The thing that I really liked, and maybe this is a spoiler, so I'm going to hold off on that till spoilers. Sorry.
No worries. I'm ready for spoilers whenever
I am
you guys
too.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. So yeah.
Okay. So overall, it sounds like I recommend it if you like the Beatles and you have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
But if there's any other movie that you want to see more than this one, see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you could watch Across the Universe for the Beatles. I
haven't seen Across the Universe in a long time.
Yeah.
And my instinct tells me that it's bad.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since I was in college, and at that time I was just very pretentious, and I was like, "This is the best movie." Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I would like to watch Across the Universe and also this movie again, and then find out which one is actually better by today's standards.
Right.
Because I don't know.
That's a good question.
There's a friend I have at work who's been really excited. He also liked Rocket Man and Bohemian Rhapsody, and I think the reason he likes those movies isn't necessarily because of the story. It's because it's Queen's music is in there, and he loves it, and Elton John's music is in there. So I think this movie's for him, because it's a bunch of Beatles songs. And
well, let me tell you this: this is better than Bohemian Rhapsody.
Way better.
I mean,
it is way
this
better.
This is a more interesting movie than Bohemian Rhapsody, and it certainly looks more interesting than Rocket Man, even though the reviews do not correlate to that.
Yes, hands down, I agree.
I want to say one thing. We have a listener question. Before we move into spoilers, I want to put this in non-spoilers, so the more people can hear it, the better, right? And this is from @RealMattWard, friend of the show. He says, or he asks, how much Ed Sheeran is too much Ed Sheeran?
Ooh.
I think it's a valid question. We all have to ask ourselves at one point.
Yeah, that young up-and-coming actor from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that everyone loved unanimously from that show. I don't know. To me, like the cameos in this movie, I guess there's really only like Ed Sheeran is like the only cameo that I can think of. But it felt like a Judd Apatow movie or something.
I didn't even think about that, but you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. What was that? What was the last? Not Whiplash. No, he didn't do Whiplash. Trainwreck. One of those one-word titles. Remember Trainwreck? Like it had like 80 cameos by like celebrities playing themselves.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It felt like that to me. It felt like, and when that happens, I almost consider it like a fake movie, like a novelty movie, if that makes sense. Like celebrities playing themselves, unless it's like a really high concept movie, like Being John Malkovich or something.
Right.
It kind of comes off as like too winky at the audience and too dated.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember Ocean's 12? Like when Julia Roberts plays like a character impersonating Julia Roberts, the actress?
Yes.
and that's like a key plot development in the movie.
Yeah.
So it's like that kind of, like, not as egregious as that, but there's a lot of Ed Sheeran in this movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like he draws a lot of attention to himself. That said, he's not a bad actor.
No. He's pretty good. And, he got, like, the one, like, big laugh moment I got in the movie, and this might be spoilers, but I don't think so. It's sort of a one-off joke where he likens himself to Salieri from Amadeus. that made me laugh. I mean, so I thought he was okay. Yeah. But I think it's a valid point saying that, it does feel a little winky. It is because, he's playing himself. So, yeah. But he didn't bother me. I thought he was funny.
Would it have been better if Ed Sheeran just played a musician that was kind of like Ed Sheeran, but with a different name? Like, his name was just like Tom, but like we as the audience know that he's a character named Tom or whatever. He's a famous musician, but he's clearly is based on Ed Sheeran's personality. Or would that have just been too confusing?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think it would have been better if he'd played a character, because then he could have been in the movie more instead of just showing up in like extended weird cameos that are both part of the movie and then also cameos.
I don't think I'd be any more or less distracted. So, but I think
there you go. I guess maybe that's true. Okay.
But I think it would have. Yeah, it wouldn't have felt as weird. I guess because they're calling him, "Hey Ed," So yeah, I'm with you. I think that would have made it a little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah, because like there's that one joke where he's like, like maybe redheaded people shouldn't rap or something like that. Like,
yeah,
and it's like. That was just like a weird joke, I guess, more than anything, because like I guess Ed Sheeran raps. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me as well.
Same.
Anyways, there's probably a bunch of like younger people listening to this podcast being like, "Who are these old people that don't have any taste in music?"
Probably.
Okay. Anyways, are we done with this? Ready to move into spoilers now?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
No, I guess Rosebud is just a piece in a jigsaw puzzle.
Any orange cigarettes you got up there? I'll tell you all about it.
Things are going to start happening to me now.
And here we go.
All right, so my thought was the one thing I liked and I found interesting in the film, and they don't necessarily follow through with it, but it's when he's singing Back in the USSR, or whatever the name of the song is. And that one guy is just standing there, and you realize he's remembering. And then I really liked how there's another shot of him much later on, and he's still just standing there. Mm-hmm. And I was really curious about like what that meant. And then later on, the woman is following him, and it was almost kind of got like zombie vibes, or like, what does that mean? Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I don't know that it. I guess I was.
I even like the payoff.
Yeah, I guess I do like the payoff. They're just we're so happy that you sang these songs. We missed it. Like, thank you for. And I guess that's also what motivates the ending as well, I think. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was the one aspect of it that I probably would have liked to have seen a little bit more of, something like that.
Yeah. You bring that up, and I have something to jump off of that. But I will say that I enjoyed the mystery in like the red herring of it all. Like, you think, oh my God, these two people are onto him. They're gonna ruin him.
Yeah.
And that's what he thinks too. And then like I was like on pins and needles waiting for them to walk into the room, with like the yellow submarine. And I was like, oh my God, what is this going to be, And just like him, you're taken aback whenever they're just like, oh, thank you so much for like giving us these songs. The world is a better place with them. We're just happy to hear them. And I enjoyed how they commented on how he's getting the lyrics wrong on a lot of them too.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. I enjoyed all of that. In fact, whenever that was happening, I was like, oh, this movie could still be saved, if it goes into an interesting way. And then it doesn't, right? What happens immediately after that is they give him a piece of paper and they're like, go here. And I was like, please don't do this.
This took a lot of digging. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, don't do what I think you're going to do. And it ended up being worse than what I thought they were going to do. I thought they were going to go find like the real Paul McCartney or Ringo.
Yeah, so did I.
And they were going to make like a cameo a la Ed Sheeran. But it's even worse than I imagined.
Yeah, instead, who wants to drop that bomb? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God. And the actor, like I didn't even realize the actor who it was until my girlfriend mentioned it. It's an actor that Danny Boyle uses all the time. He's in Once Upon a Time.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember his name.
I'm looking it up now. I remember he's in Trainspotting.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's in like all Danny Boyle's movies.
I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's a great actor. But anyway, so they go and they meet John Lennon.
Yep.
And John Lennon is just living on, or by himself, like on a beach. Apparently not a musician and never died. And I don't understand for the life of me what the point of this scene is. Or what the main character gets from it.
Yeah.
Like he tells him like, oh yeah, I loved a woman. And if you want to be happy, you also have to love a woman. And it's like...
Yeah, it was so bungled.
What
because,
woman are you talking about? Because John was like with Yoko Ono in real life, and that was like the one he's most famous for being with. Are we to believe that it's Yoko, or is it just some random girl who's not going to be mentioned?
I thought that was really funny that they did not bring her name up at all.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's weird and distracting because I'm thinking to myself, like, I know John Lennon's like life in broad strokes, right? So I'm thinking to myself, I'm trying to piece together...
How much did his life change?
Yeah, like how much of John Lennon's life is like the same, how much is not the same, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just weird. And like, and he's got like weird prosthetics on, and he doesn't even particularly, he looks too short and too weird. And it's Robert Carlyle. That's the name. But ultimately, like, I was distracted thinking like, okay, does John still make music? Is he an artist of some kind? Is his artistic, like, persona manifesting itself in a different way? It didn't seem so. So it doesn't even seem like John Lennon.
Yeah. Why did he let this stranger into his house and is giving him sage advice? Yeah. It's very
What
weird.
is happening with this scene? It's a mess.
How many people were in the theater when you saw it, Mike? Because you saw it kind of late. Were you like the only one?
Me, my girlfriend, and like 3 people like 4 rows above us.
Okay, yeah. So I was there. I went by myself, and there was probably like a total of 5 people in the theater, and of course there was somebody sitting right in front of me. And when the door opens and there it is, and we get the realization, he just goes, "Oh no." And and I felt the same way. I was like, oh, it felt like it was almost like too soon. And then he started talking, and I was really disappointed because they blundered something that was a really good opportunity. I think it was just in the way most of it was just the dialogue. Yeah, like the way you said, like you basically said what he said, which is like you got to love a girl, and that's all. But I understood what you were trying to come across, which is you think happiness is going to be from being successful and becoming a star and having all these people love you, but you can be happy and all that stuff with just having a simple life, and it just didn't come across the way it was supposed to. In fact, instead it came across as kind of bungled and weird. But
okay, it'd be different if he were getting rich and famous for his own songs, and then we're still unhappy with the rich and famousness, and he's like, I'm still not happy. What is missing from my life? Oh, it's a girl. But instead he feels bad about using other people's songs. He kind of gets some relief from that whenever the 2 people find him and they're like, we don't disapprove at all, like, this is great. He doesn't tell John anything of any kind of importance,
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he learns that, like, his own talent isn't making him happy. It's like he learns that ripping other people off isn't making him happy, so he might as well just get married.
Right. Like, that it just didn't, all that stuff leading up to that just didn't, exactly. Didn't really pay off the way it should have.
Yeah. Weird and messy, I
guess.
And
weird and messy, yeah.
Yeah,
I know they thought that it was going to be controversial. Like when he showed up, like you guys, I thought it was going to be one of the living Beatles or something. But when we got Paul, I was like, oh, interesting. This could go someplace interesting. And then nothing was leading up to that in a satisfactory way, and it just didn't land. So yeah, I'm with you. I think and afterwards I was just like, I wonder what other people are thinking about this. And I saw Danny Boyle was just like, well, this is going to be the moment in the movie that divides audiences. And I'm like, I think you're thinking for another reason, man. Like, people are going to be shocked that you brought, like, you resurrected a dead person. That had less to do with it other than it just was bungled in the way you handled it. So, yeah.
Right. Like, they didn't talk about anything of significance, or, like, it didn't seem like John really gave him any kind of revelation.
Nope.
Like, I don't know.
No, I felt the same way. Yeah. The only thing I could think of was, I talked about it before, the big plot hole, and maybe this was one of yours and we can kind of run with it, which is the blackout kind of is never really done.
Right.
So, what are your thoughts on that?
That actually isn't one of mine,
Oh.
but yeah, the blackout, like, how many people died that night?
Right, yeah.
And they don't
everyone
really...
on life support in hospitals.
Right. Someone, when that Sonic, this is off topic a little bit, but when that Sonic trailer came out, someone did the math because he, like, took out the Western seaboard, the western coast of America, he made the power go out, and someone did the math that he killed like 60,000 children because he's like, so anytime the power goes out, there's just like a ton of people on life support, not to mention the accidents and stuff like that. I mean, that's like a leftovers type incident, and they never really explore. Yeah.
And as it turns out, he wakes up in an alternate timeline.
Yeah.
According to the synopsis.
Which they don't talk about. Yeah, and that's one of the other things from when you read the synopsis or when I read it. I was like, oh, well, that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
What if they talked about an alternative timeline?
Yeah.
Like, did his other ones go to the other timeline? And he's
Did he
like,
just die in his original timeline?
Yeah, and he's just blown away by all these Beatles songs that he's hearing now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And at the end of the movie, he finds out like another nothing's fixed. So, like the world's still like without all these popular things.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's still no like Harry Potter or Coca-Cola.
Yeah. That's one of my things. That was the biggest gasp in my theater. I probably had like 10 to 15 people in the theater, and the biggest gasp was when he's like, I'll have a Coke. And they're like, what are you talking about? And he's like, there's no Coke. And everybody's like,
yeah.
No.
A world without Coca-Cola.
Yeah, that was the biggest gasp.
Wow.
Which I also thought was interesting, too, in the concept is, so let's explore what the Beatles means to culture. And like what... and they just say Wonderwall it wouldn't be around without the Beatles, and that's the furthest that they go.
Yeah, I wanted to see more things like I wanted some I don't know, maybe that's asking too much of a movie like this, but I wanted some exploration, more of him being in this timeline he doesn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted more of him like finding things that didn't exist, and then following the rabbit hole. Like, okay, if the Beatles don't exist, then what else doesn't exist?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would have been cool if it broadened its scope for more than just the Beatles. Like, it would have been cool if he started with all the Beatles songs he remembered, and then he's like, I'm out of Beatles songs. Okay?
Time to do Oasis.
Yeah, no, that's really good.
Let's move to, like, the next band that was influenced by the Beatles that was huge. Like, let's do, like, the biggest 70s band, the biggest 80s band, Like, I would have liked him to tackle more pop culture things than just, like, but that would have been a really expensive rights issue. But
this movie is trying to say things about the Beatles and what the Beatles means to us as a culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think it satisfies
No,
that.
it
doesn't explore it. One other thing that I did like was when he is writing the songs and nobody's showing up to his things, and he's like, well, it's just me. Like,
Right.
I thought that was interesting. What if he went through the whole movie and he is singing all the most famous Beatles songs, but nobody appreciates it because of who he is, like...
Yeah, there was a few minutes it was actually like that. He was playing
exactly.
Beatles songs to like nobody, and I was like, oh, interesting,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
But like everything interesting in the movie, the movie just glosses over and focuses on the less interesting things.
Yeah, the romance and all that stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. If you guys don't have anything else, I've got one last thing.
Sure.
Shoot.
All right. The biggest and most disappointing thing about this movie, I think, is the last, basically the culmination, which is him. He asks Ed Sheridan to play at his concert. He plays at the concert, sneaks Lily James up onto stage, puts a camera on her, like when she's not expecting this, and then, tells everybody that he hasn't sang the song. He didn't write the songs that these four other guys did, which would blow the internet up. Like, what is he, like some sort of Scientologist, like a flat earther, because he's saying that these other people have created these songs, which I found very interesting, but then they never followed through with as well. But I felt like he was kind of a jerk to Lily James the whole movie, and he never redeemed himself at all because he sticks her up there. She's got a boyfriend, and then I don't think he necessarily confesses his love to her on stage, but he basically does. And he kind of really puts her on the spot with her boyfriend on there, and I thought that seemed really unfair to
Chris,
do
it's
to
a
her.
grand romantic gesture.
Yeah, well, sometimes those grand romantic gestures are
Stupid.
pretty awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I felt so bad for poor Gavin. Like he's like, I was always number two.
No, he got the hook up with the hotter girl.
Oh yeah, the afterwards. I wouldn't say hotter, but yeah. But which the only reason she was in the whole movie at all, she had like 2 lines, and that was only so that that Gavin
could have
somebody,
a happy ending.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of stuff like that. Anyways, I hated the ending.
Yeah,
and I thought that could have been done
I agree.
better.
I think if the ending had gone better, it could have saved parts of the first part of the movie. Like the ending was make or break it, and it never recovered after John.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm.
The John scene killed it for me.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I'm coming away with 2.5 out of 5, probably.
Yeah, I was the exact same way. I was going to say 2.5, maybe 3 because of the music, but yeah, same here. It's just right down the middle. Okay.
Yeah, maybe 3 because I wasn't bored. Well, I was bored. That's a lie. So 2.5.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm probably at 2. I don't like this as much as you guys.
Vicious.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have any Danny Boyle movies that I would rate straight up 2.
Yeah.
I said this was mid-tier Danny Boyle, but I think it's on lower end of Danny Boyle that I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Slumdog Millionaire is better than this film.
Having talked about it, I agree. So.
yeah. After exploring this movie a little bit more, yeah, sure, totally.
Right.
But it doesn't stand up with the best of Danny Boyle at all.
Nowhere near. No.
Yeah.
I wonder what the timeline, and this is also off topic, but what the timeline is for Danny Boyle and the James Bond film. Is this the movie he does after he realizes he's not going to do James Bond?
This is the movie
he already...
No, this was the movie that he left James Bond to do.
Okay.
So,
Well, he may have dodged a bullet because James Bond is still shooting.
Yes, it is. Well, it was, and the only
going
reason
through every production pick up in the road.
The only reason I know about all this is because I'm on set every day with Ricky Kennedy, and we talk about James Bond because he's a James Bond fanatic, and he was talking about.
He is.
Well, no, he's like, I'm not going to go see Yesterday because he left in the middle of Bond. Bond got delayed by like 6 months to begin shooting, and they had to find a new person, and they and all that stuff. And he's like, so I'm not forgiving Danny Boyle. I was like, oh, okay, so.
Ooh, person.
Yeah.
Interesting. I would like to see Danny Boyle do a James Bond movie myself.
No, I would too. I thought that was an interesting choice. Yeah.
But oh well. I guess it won't be a Daniel Craig Bond.
Be a Robert Carlyle Bonds.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
It would be, actually.
That would be funny. Or Ewan McGregor.
Mm-hmm.
All right, are we done?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks for talking about Yesterday with me.
Oh, it was a blast.
Yeah, I can't wait till tomorrow and we can talk about today.
So thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Jake Wagner Russell, for our intro and outro music. You can always listen to more of his music at www.soundcloud.com/bopscotch. Stay tuned next week. We are doing Midsummer, and then also Spider-Man Far From Home is coming out. I'm not sure which one of those. I think probably Spider-Man will be the main review, but we are going to have Peyton on, and we will definitely talk about Midsummer as well.
Agreed.
So, yeah.
I'm super looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. And I'm sure Justin is too, somewhere, wherever he is out in the world. All right. And like I said at the beginning of the show, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to us on iTunes, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find us at @casualcinecast. And we will see you next week.
Thanks for listening, guys. And thanks, Peyton, for being on. Yeah.
Oh, thanks for having me, and thanks for listening, guys. And I hope I've been a good placeholder for Justin.
Yeah, you've been a complete delight, Peyton.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thoroughly enjoyed having you on the podcast.
You enjoy me so much, I'm coming back. That's exactly right, yeah.